there's this sort of light show that happens, and the light show's just at the tip, and it's cock-shaped.
The shard is phallocentric and violent, because
Yeah.
it looks like a weapon at the same time.
It does, but it's a weapon that jizzes.
Good afternoon, good evening, good whatever. My name is Joe Makatich, the editor of Time Out in London, and you're listening to Love Thy Neighbourhood, the podcast in which someone notable shows me around a part of London that means a lot to them. So that's 4 locations in one neighbourhood. And what neighbourhood are we in today? Well, I have conversed with the spiritual son. I saw him on Primrose Hill. Not my words, the words of immortal treasure and impenetrably weird proto-nudist William Blake. He felt it had some sort of deep mystical significance, which is nice. These days, the mystical significance is associated more with people like Sienna Miller and Jude Law and maybe even Jamie Oliver. But long before that, it was simply a wolf-infested forest, the Forest of Middlesex outside of London. It was purchased then by the Crown, who in the 1800s sort of tried to turn the whole area, including Belsize Park, into a gigantic chill-out zone for the people of London when they wanted to escape the grime and the smog. It was simply a field, and there was a single building in the area, which was the Chalk Farm Tavern. Now, that's a very, very significant location, as will become clear soon. First thing I did, by the way, was burrow under the hill with these huge tunnels, which was the first railway tunnels in London, I think. They're still there. And then the Victorian thing happened. When Charles Booth did his sort of survey of poverty in London, I believe Primrose Hill was one of the areas with the greatest discrepancy between the very, very rich and the very, very poor, who were all kind of crammed into the big houses, subdivided many, many times. The war comes around, and it suffered a bit of bombing, but actually it was also, because of its height, the top of the hill, a place from which the army defended the city. So there were enormous anti-aircraft guns set up at the top of Primrose Hill. You can see pictures of them, quite amazing. After that, it started to attract the kind of painter, poet class of people. It was kind of a bohemian place. And long before the Stoke Newingtons of the world, Primrose Hill was where the middle classes came to bring up their families. And then finally, in the 90s, Jude Law, Sienna Miller, Kate Moss, all of that. So very exciting. And who is it that's brought me here today? Well, it's only Jameela Jamil. That is right. Jameela Jamil, who initially was a very, very successful TV presenter, who was part of that sort of initial crop of extremely cool T4 presenters with Alexa Chung and people like that. She then became a radio DJ, who was the first solo female DJ to present the Radio 1 chart show, I think. Did all sorts of other stuff, but then came to international renown as a result of being cast in The Good Place, a hugely successful global phenomenon of a sitcom where she plays Tahani, who's a sort of spiritual guide for one of the main characters through the afterlife, and it was huge. It ran for 6 series, and it made her a global star, deservingly. These days, she does all sorts of stuff. She's in 2 big Netflix things coming out, one called Merry Little Xmas. It sounds to me like sort of nice Netflix comforting festive fare, and also People We Meet on Vacation, which is based on a very successful romance novel. Also, she has her own podcast called Wrong Turns, about people's most mortifying and embarrassing moments. So looking forward to chatting about those with her. In any case, we're just approaching our first location, and I think I can see her, so let's go and say hello. Jameela Jamil, where are we and why have you brought me here?
I have brought you to Le Monnier, which is my favourite restaurant, and it's great Greek food and it's delicious, and it's somewhere I've been coming since I was a small child, and it's where I've had most of my birthday dinners. In fact, it's almost always where I celebrate my birthday.
What's so special about this place?
It's the food is unbelievable, but it's also the service, and it's a family-owned restaurant, and the waiters who've been here, some of them have been here for decades, and they've watched you literally grow up, and there's just this immediate feeling of true welcome, and there's no rush to get you out of here.
Yeah.
You can really spend the whole evening relaxing into the atmosphere. It's not a touristy place, it's not on any of the lists, so it's full of locals, and it's packed full of locals all the time, which I really like.
What is it about this area that when the call came in, you were like, we're going to Primrose Hill?
This is my general, most formative ends. I was born in Dulwich, and then I grew up in Spain, and then a bit in Pakistan, and then a bit in central London, but I landed here around the age of 10 or 11. I think I became the person I am here. And, London can feel quite cold sometimes, and it can feel quite impersonal. And this is one area I found to always feel like a village, and I'm so happy that it stayed that way. And that, while there's been some modernity added to it, it generally, so many of the places that are here were here when I was a little kid, and that feels very nice to have so much independent business here.
You're not wrong about the feeling of a village. When I was waiting for you, the actor Tom Hiddleston jogged past me and gave me a little sort of wave.
Nice.
Like a sort of nice sort of local guy. I felt like I belonged here.
You do have an immediate sense of belonging. I like the fact that I know the shopkeepers, and I like the fact that you have actual neighbours. This is an actual neighbourhood. And that's something that I desperately needed, because growing up in Spain, you really have a sense of community.
Where in Spain was that?
Marbella. And so I really miss that warmth. And there's a European feeling to this area, more so than anywhere in London, in my opinion.
London has so much going for it in so many ways, but I'd say warmth isn't one of those things. I think it's kind of famous maybe for like a certain chilliness that people pick up on, mainly because people are, I think, just a bit busy and they're just trying to get to their next stop. But if you come from the provinces or something, you sort of wonder why no one says hello. But, I think Londoners are friendly in their own way, aren't they?
Sort of, yeah. I think you just have to learn dry humour.
Yeah.
And you have to learn that everyone's afraid of everyone, because it's a melting pot of just insanity, and people are very stressed. London is very testing on your nervous system, and I think that's part of what's going on with Londoners. You get up first thing in the morning, it's raining or it's windy or it's cold. It's never the right temperature ever.
Yep.
For what you're wearing ever, so you have to carry around a small wardrobe with you in your arms. No one enjoys that.
I've dressed completely wrong today, which is to serve your point.
But I've been truly farted on the tube maybe 100 times in my lifetime.
Is that literal farting?
Literal farting. Like I'm more methane than anything else now, and it's not even mine. And then you get outside, and then a cyclist almost kills you, and then there's people screaming at each other, and we're all packed in like sardines. There's not a lot of space. There's not loads of access to greenery, depending on where you live. There's a cost of living crisis. Like, there's a lot of tension here, but also that adversity, I think, is what leads to so much of the great art, because very little great art comes from complete peace and tranquility and ease and joy.
What do you look for in a sort of birthday venue?
I look for Lemonia. I look for chips and chops and kindness, and somewhere that's not too rowdy, not too loud. They don't play loud music here. I can't fucking stand loud music at a dinner venue.
All loud music of any kind?
All loud music. Can't bear it. I can't bear music while talking at the same time. It's my pet peeve.
I'm coming round to that now as well. I think...
That's because we're old, darling.
You reckon?
Yeah, it's happened. Things have become too modern for me in this world, and I think that's, again, the comfort of this area, is that it's frozen in time.
Yeah. Let's talk about things we're rejecting. We're rejecting social media. I know we rely on it to an extent, but get it out of here.
Yep.
Do you think if tomorrow social media stopped existing...
Yes.
There would be any negative repercussions?
No.
I don't think there would be.
No, look, of course there would be some negative repercussions. If we're going to be very serious for a moment.
Yeah, we should be.
It's that social media is incredible for organising, right? Social media is how we learned about systems and patterns and how devastating our governments are. But aside from our organising capacity, we would go back to looking each other in the eye, talking to one another, building actual communities IRL rather than these sort of false online parasocial communities. Children would be less mentally distressed. We wouldn't have such high suicide rates, high eating disorder rates. Men wouldn't hate women so much. Women wouldn't hate men so much. We are in a crisis of algorithmic division because of social media. It is beyond net negative, and I long for its erosion.
And I'm with you, though, 100%. I think in 10 years' time, I think probably the way we feel and what we've said, I reckon will be fairly mainstream. Maybe they'll look back and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe what we did to that one generation who was like exposed to it, like, you know, radiation. And then since
Grown
then...
up, they were raised on it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what the equivalent was when we were kids.
There wasn't one.
No.
No one's ever been raised like this. This
Yeah.
might not be the worst time in humanity. It's technically the best time in history because there's less murder, less rape, less
almost no
all
plague.
of the things. Yeah, so statistically, the wars are less. Like, we can feel like it's more because it's all now being live streamed, but ultimately the world is in better shape than it was during, I don't know, let's say the rise of the Roman Empire or the Vikings or any of that. However, this specific part of raising people on social media and then them forming opinions based on algorithmic intervention and manipulation means we are the craziest we've ever been.
Yeah.
We might live longer, but then we live long enough to become addicted to Facebook in our 60s and 70s and then start falling for conspiracy theories, and then we vote for Brexit.
Yeah. Facebook is sort of the old people's home of social media now, isn't it? It's where
Totally.
you just sort of you shuffle off to Facebook
But
and
that's
you can read
our
about
fault because we're
Epstein.
one of the only cultures in the world that dismisses elderly people. Like
Yeah.
anything from the age of 60, it's like you're invisible. You get out of the way. Get out
Where
of the
are
way.
you
You can't
thinking
walk
of
fast enough.
That's by comparison.
I'm thinking of Germany, and I'm thinking of Italy, and I'm thinking of France, where, you know, when I'm walking through the streets of Berlin, you're looking out in the cafes at midnight, and there are people in their 80s drinking late night coffee with one another, having engaged conversations. The elderly are sharp there.
Yeah.
It's like you have to maintain someone's stimulation in order for them to maintain how cognitive they are. And we understimulate the elderly here, and we just whack them by a window
Yeah.
and leave them alone as if they have no value. And actually, they have all the value. I hope you're okay with me being political, but look at the people who are being currently arrested.
Yes. Old people.
Yeah, it's all elderly people. Like, those are the people showing us what integrity looks like, what grit looks like.
They are.
They've seen everything before and they know what they're doing.
Well, stimulate the elderly sounds like a controversial opinion, but
Sounds like a porn
when you put it like that,
subsection, yeah.
but I think we can all get behind it. One word as well, China. I don't want to become like a mouthpiece for China, but they take great care of their old people. They, if you're at home, you look after the grandkids. They all have like hobbies and activities. I say all, it's a billion
in
people.
India, whether it's healthy or not, everyone's moving in.
Yeah, everyone's moving in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice. I think it might be time for us to shuffle off to our next location. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll just take one more
Okay,
trip.
let's do it.
Hi, it's Liv Little.
It's Miranda Sawyer here, and we are the hosts of the newest culture podcast out there. We have notes from The Observer.
As writers, we give and take notes all the time. It's part of the fun, especially when it comes to culture. But now we're sharing our thoughts on the most interesting stories dominating the zeitgeist.
No headline skimming here. We promise to give you the insightful takes, plenty of debate, and a recommendation or two.
Listen to new episodes of We Have Notes every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you, Gorge.
She seems very nice.
She's the best.
Yeah.
Imagine being my publicist.
I can't. I don't know
And
what it
she's
was.
still in such a good mood. She's impenetrable. I pushed her to the limit, and she's still here.
I don't know. I saw you talking to her. You seem to do it in a very sort of good-natured,
I love everyone I
quiet
work
way.
with.
Is that because, in the nicest possible way, you've had a long career, so you've seen all types of famous people and how they've treated maybe their friends and their staff, and maybe you've sort of developed...
I don't think that adjusted my attitude. I think it's just something that I find deplorable, which is why I hate almost all celebrities. And I'm not really friends with them. Like, I was asked the other day to go to a fashion show and to bring 10 famous people with me, and I was like, I don't know 10 famous people.
10 famous
I
people?
was like, I don't know 10 people in this industry.
Yeah,
all my
that's-
friends are people I met when I was 19, or who became my flatmates here, who were still best friends. Like, I don't.
You should
I
have
don't
just bought like
know a
people who
lot of-
work in the
Yeah.
shops near you and just said they're all influencers. You wouldn't know them yet, but these guys, this is Bob, he's a cobbler.
Celebrities are loathsome, and the ones that the internet likes the most are some of the most loathsome people in real life, and it is such a strange experience.
What sort of people does the internet like these days, do you think?
Normally quiet
Right.
people.
Like
That's normally people who are
compliant
not
and-
compliant, complicit,
Yeah.
silent people
Wow.
who look good and are thin and unproblematic and I don't know, unpolitical.
They're not going to say something to rock the boat.
No, exactly. And listen, they're cool, but that's who the internet tends to preserve. The internet thinks they want people to speak out, but once they do,
Right.
they hate them.
I was going to say as well, this is my sort of boring nerd fact about where we just were. Did you know that restaurant was quite literally the first building that existed in all of Primrose Hill?
Lamonia.
It was a pub called the Chalk Farm Tavern. They built the whole area from scratch.
Oh, wow.
Around it in the 1800s.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and right under where we are walking now, this is the beginning of Primrose Hill, they excavated a huge tunnel, and it was the first railway tunnel in all of London, and it's still basically exactly the same as when they built it in the 1800s. It looks like something out of a sort of sci-fi fantasy novel. It's amazing.
Under this hill right now.
Under this hill right now.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
That's
it's amazing. It's if you like subterranean networks,
I do.
you can't do better than Primrose Hill, because you had all of that, and then also during the war they built massive bunkers under here, and also all around Belsize Park, Tottenham Court Road, Camden Town, and then also I think it was like escape tunnels as well. So there's like 3 different types of tunnel under here, not even including the tubes.
This is also like something that I think is palpable. There's a vibration of history here.
There's a
right?
literal vibration as
Literal
well under the feet,
yeah.
you know.
But I think that's something that I really missed when I was in America was true history.
By the way, you saying that is exciting to me, because one of my favourite parts in this podcast is sort of like trying to get guests to slag off America. I'm not suggesting you will, because you've done very well over there.
I've had a lovely time there. I'm homesick.
Oh.
So I've been spending more time at home, and I still work there and I still have a home there, but this is where I've been spending more and more time, because this is where...
If you're a Londoner, you're a Londoner.
This is my DNA.
It is, yeah, and mine.
You know. But we're going to have to slow down. I'm 40.
I was literally going to say, if Jameela and I sound
like
slightly
we're shagging.
out of breath...
it's because we're having sex.
It's because we're having sex in the open.
It's a new part of the podcast.
But no, we're walking up an incredibly steep hill.
Yeah.
What I always say to guests is I edit out all the bits where I sound out of breath, so I sound really kind of like fit and healthy, and we sort of amplify
what a dick.
the moments of them wheezing. But no, here we are on this amazing hill, walking up it. I think it's appeared in a huge number of lyrics.
Lyrics, movies, books.
What are your memories of it?
Oh, so many. I mean, I've spent maybe a fifth of my life literally on this hill.
Oh my gosh.
It's my favourite place to be. It's where I asked out my first boyfriend.
Oh.
I got him a pizza, his favourite pizza, and then I wrote a note in the middle of the pizza that said, "Will you go out with me?" And it had a little box to tick yes.
Oh, that's
and
so
no.
nice.
It would be so cute if I'd been a teenager, but I was 22.
Did he take yes at least?
He did say yes.
Good.
Yeah, and we had our first kiss round the corner on a bench.
Do you remember which bench? Can we...
And it wasn't our first kiss, it was my first kiss.
Your
I was
first kiss.
21.
A late developer in
About
that
to turn
respect.
22. Very, very late developer, yeah. Very, very shy. Never even danced with anyone before then. No one had ever held my hand.
And what was it about this guy that was so special, where you were like,
I'm
going to hold this guy's hand?
He was just the only person who wanted to kiss me, so I kissed him.
Any
was
idea
it.
what he's up to these days?
No, none whatsoever. I mean, that was 18 years ago.
Well, he sounds like quite the gent.
But it's my favourite place, like the view of London. There's almost a kind of, it's a stunning view, and it just gives me a sense of home and perspective.
Yeah.
And I love the old and the new, and I love
Yeah.
being able to see. I hated the fucking London Eye when it first went up. I thought it was so tacky, but when I see it from this distance, it's such a gorgeous addition.
We were having that exact conversation in Time Out Towers only yesterday, which was the London Eye has properly been sort of accepted into the lexicon of London stuff now.
Yeah.
You're right, at the beginning, we sort of scoffed at it in the same way we scoff at literally anything.
But what have we been doing with the Shard lately? Have you seen the light show that happens up the Shard late at night?
No, I can't say I've been
So it's
looking
really
towards
crazy.
it, but we're looking towards it now.
Yeah, so at the top of the Shard, there's this sort of light show that happens almost every other day.
Yeah.
And the light show's just at the tip, and it's cock-shaped.
Oh.
And then the light starts streaming up it, and it's like, it looks like the Shard's going to come.
It sounds like a phallocentric light show.
It was always a phallocentric building. I mean,
yeah, the Shard is phallocentric and violent. because it looks like a weapon at the same time.
It does, but it's a weapon that jizzes.
Yeah, it's a jizzing
every
weapon
other day.
into the sky.
Yeah.
But what have you? And then there's the aviary. How do you say aviary? The bird place, the London Zoo bird place.
The bird box.
Big bird box.
Yeah, you've got London Zoo right there. And then what I also love is that how sociable this hill is. Like, this is where everybody meets all summer and everyone's here until midnight. And you've got people bringing DJ decks and young people partying and people kissing and holding hands. It's just such a deeply romantic, loving place. I've never seen an argument or a fight take place here. It's such a peaceful, loving, happy space, and it's like, it to me is the epitome of London. But I mean, look, not far up the road is where the video shop that I worked.
Nice.
I mean, it's gone now because obviously videos are dead, but I worked there and it was my favourite job I've ever had to this day.
I think video shops live on in the imaginations of Gen Z because they've seen them in things like The Stranger Things, which, as far as I can tell, is a program singularly responsible for an entire generation's opinions of like the 90s.
Yes.
And the video shop has a really integral part in that for some reason.
The video shop was key, and the video shop is it's quite funny, like, you know, because it's an area where lots of celebrities live, right? So I mean, I used to serve everyone. It would be like Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant and all these like different, like Judi Dench, all these different people, Jamie Oliver, coming in to get their DVDs, returning them late, having to pay a little late fine, getting a free Haagen-Dazs with their 2 for 2 deal.
What were they getting? Just the classics, the obvious ones?
Everyone was just getting really hardcore porn.
Just porn.
Just hardcore porn, especially Judi.
And Dench, she's got it written all over her face. She's a maniac.
But one time there was this huge director who was just in town for the summer, and he joined the video shop, and I say he's one of the biggest directors of all time, and he was just really nice to me, and I was a little film nerd, so we would talk for probably like an hour at a time sometimes about cinema. And I was 16 at the time, getting to have a conversation with one of my favourite directors about films all the time. And then in Los Angeles, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, the show I was on, we won the AFI award, and that's a hugely prestigious television and film award. And he was there, and he sees me, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Fuck! I can't believe he remembers me from 20 years ago almost." So I'm like, "Hey, man."
Yeah,
and
your
I'm
copy
thinking,
of Critters 2 is
look at
overdue.
who did well from the video shop. Look who's in the TV. So I go up to him all like cocky and overfamiliar, and then he asks me, "How's Quanticode doing?" And I'm like, "I'm not in Quanticode, but you know who is? Only bloody Priyanka Chopra, the only other Indian woman in the industry, and he thinks I'm her." And I don't want to embarrass him, and I don't think it's a racialized move. I think he's an older man who's made a mistake, and
I did wonder at the start. I was like, "Why isn't she named him?" And then, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't want to embarrass him. No. So he makes what is obviously an innocent mistake, and he's very excited to see her, and I don't know what to do, so I decide to play along, and I put on an Indian accent.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm like, the stunts have actually been quite challenging, but I'm having a great time in Los Angeles, and because she's got such a beautiful musical sort of like Anglo-Indian accent. And then we had a 5-minute conversation fully with me pretending to be Priyanka Chopra, which is, I think, a felony.
Yeah.
So that's why I've really come home.
One of our favourite phrases on the podcast is stolen valour.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what that is.
So Priyanka doesn't know, but she had a really lovely exchange with
big up Priyanka.
Steven Spielberg. But there you go.
And there's his name. Well, that's been a lovely little tour around the site of your first hand holding. Shall we move on to the third location?
Let's
do it. At this stage, by the way, I'm going to do a surprise quiz, which we're currently calling This Is Your London Life.
Right.
Based on 5 significant dates from your life.
Okay.
I went back through the Time Out archives with the help of the wonderful...
Did you read my Wikipedia?
In passing,
I may have done. Do you know that my school bully wrote my Wikipedia and continues to edit my Wikipedia? Did you know that I last saw him when I was 9 years old, which is 30 years ago?
And the guy's still doing it?
Yeah, he doesn't have a job. Well, I guess that's a job.
If any of these dates correspond to something this horrible bully's written, we can disregard them.
No, it's fine. I actually really admire, I don't like a half-assed bully.
This guy's gone
all in.
I
like someone, how people are like, I like my racist.
Yes.
I like my bullies to really just be very.
This guy's put his back into it. He spent his entire life on it.
He's shown more discipline and dedication to this one thing than I've shown in anything in my life, and so I look up to his discipline.
You've got to say fair play.
Fair play, absolutely fair play.
Well, these 5 dates correspond to things in your life, and I looked back through the archive and found things that happened in London on those dates.
Okay, let's go.
Let's see if you can work out what they are.
Okay.
February the 26th, 1986. Which tube station in London, the same week it was unveiled, was covered in tiles, mosaics and sort of decorative tiles by a leading Italian artist, and Time Out described it as resembling a Byzantine brothel. Do you know what tube station that was?
I can picture it, but I can't name it.
Tottenham Court Road.
Yes,
They're still there. Okay, moving on. You're off to school on September the 3rd, 1997. Why were all major sporting events cancelled and the British Museum closed down the week you went to school?
Because everyone was very worried about me going to school.
It wasn't because of that.
No, it was all apparently because of me.
They shut everything down.
Yeah, just to really make sure that I could concentrate. Listen, I've always had a lot of impact.
Well, this person also had a lot of impact. Marks and Spencer's would have been shut. Flowers would have been in the street.
Princess Diana?
There you go, yeah. So that was the week
it's
of
always
Princess Diana's
either me
funeral.
or Princess Diana, whatever it is. Like, we've always just sort of occupied the same sway.
That's nice, yeah. You feel like an affinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big up Diana. On to number 3. 2009, January the 6th, is when you took over on Freshly Squeezed on T4. Which famous actress, writer turned like Hollywood big shot was on stage that week in a play called Roaring Trade, and they would go on obviously to be absolutely enormously famous and influential, but this was their first time on the London stage.
Can I just tell you something really honest?
Please.
I fucking hate the theatre. I don't give a shit. I can't get into it. And I know that makes me a Neanderthal, a Luddite, a cretin. But I
didn't mean to say yeah so readily there.
No, that's fine. It's what I deserve. I just can't get into it. I can't get into it. I can't.
Well,
I'm in numerous fights with friends, who are now
At least
in
you're
kind
honest.
of plays, theatre actors, because I just don't want to go. I fucking don't get it at all. I've been asked to do Broadway a few times. That's really lovely, but I just couldn't.
Not your cup of tea. Well, art galleries versus theatres, which one are you leaning towards?
Art galleries. Do you know I'm banned from a very famous art gallery in London? There was a giant box of total darkness, and you go in to experience total darkness.
I think I know where that was.
Yeah.
But carry on.
And I went in, and I was told I'd feel or experience these things or have all these heightened senses.
Right.
And it was just a bit shit.
Oh no.
So I thought, God, people are paying good money for this. So I'm going to up the ante. And so I sat down on the floor in the corner and then I just started grabbing people's ankles. And I caused absolute pandemonium.
Were you a known person at this point?
No.
Okay, I was going to say that would be...
Sort of on the cusp.
Yeah, that would be doubly surreal.
I was definitely doing TV when I did it, I think.
Yeah, that would be doubly surreal.
It was thereabouts. And I was grabbing people's ankles and going, nah! And then they were screaming. And I think I really made an impact. Obviously, I got barred for life. But
nowadays you'd end up on social media. Another reason why they should abolish it. So you're free to visit art galleries and grab the ankles of strangers without persecution online.
Exactly.
The actor I
was
was talking
such
about...
a little bastard. Like, I used to walk around cafes here when I was a teenager.
Here we are.
And I would walk up to people with a pad and pen, like a real psychopath.
Yeah.
And take their order and be so charming, be the waiter that you've always dreamed of.
Right.
And then I'd just leave after having taken their order. Told them a bunch of specials that didn't exist. I was such a nightmare teenager. I just didn't have any friends. I was like a weird little incel.
That is very Tom Ripley, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Just feeling what it's like to be someone else.
Total nutcase.
Yeah, well, I suppose it would make sense you'd go towards the craft of acting.
Just mischief for money.
I suppose so, yeah. Well, the actor was, by the way, it was Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Oh.
So that was her first week on stage, which is crossing the street now.
She's a fabulous icon, an angel.
Is a fabulous icon.
Was she doing Fleabag?
It was pre-Fleabag, I think. Roaring Trade was the name of the play.
Oh, right, yes.
There's one final question.
You know what? I think I switched off as soon as you said theatre, so I missed everything.
Yeah, she was on stage. Long story short, debut of The Good Place, September the 19th, 2016.
Wow, long time ago.
Sweeping staircases, marble fireplaces, floor-to-ceiling mirrors, and walls covered in silk. Which location in London was open to the public from that week for visitors?
I haven't got the foggiest.
You'd expect it to be grand.
Is it something to do with the palace?
Yeah. It's got palace in the name. The second word is palace. It's probably the most famous of the
Buckingham Palace.
There you go, yeah, Buckingham Palace. Well, thank you very much.
God, I'm rubbish at a quiz.
No, you did very well. It's really just an excuse for a conversation, so it served its purpose, I guess.
Excellent. Well, we learned that I've got no culture.
You hate theatres and you grab ankles.
I hate musicals and theatre.
Yeah, musicals aren't the one, are they really? I think the theatre critic's going to be weeping his eyes out.
So I lived in that flat right there, and that was my bedroom right there on the corner.
Up there, we're looking up at a... Do you want to paint a picture for the listener? What are we looking at
Sure,
here?
so we're looking at the Fine Arts College, and there's a cafe next door, and just above it are 2 flats, and I lived in the corner flat, and I had 2 old leather brown boxing gloves that I used to hang in the window that I didn't realise until I left looked like bollocks from the outside. I had the best years of my 20s there. I had 3 unbelievable flatmates who I didn't know until I lived with them. One of them was insane. One of the temporary ones was insane.
There's always one.
He used to get very high and then move all of our furniture onto the roof, which was quite a dangerous thing to do because he was high. And then he would also, if there was anyone in our one toilet that we shared, he couldn't wait to pee. He'd just piss out of his window into the courtyard of the Fine Arts College.
Yeah, I'm looking at
so
a very beautiful...
then one time I wrote a letter with the letterhead of the Fine Arts College, pretending he'd pissed on the work of an A-level student and that the police were going to be instructed, and posted it to him.
Right.
And I knew that he opened it because I saw it open on his floor, but he never mentioned it to us. So it went in and then he moved out shortly after.
Well, there you go. He learned his lesson. We've just arrived at our 3rd location. Do you want to say where we are?
Yes, this is England's Lane Cafe.
Lovely. Let's go in. Good Lord. We've done a few series of this and it's like, in the rain, it's a bit difficult, but for some reason the heat is worse. It's like, I think as I get older, I'm starting, as you say, to disintegrate more.
Yeah.
And I never used to sweat that much, but these days I'm just like constantly sweating. This is TMI, as people would say, but I might as well be honest.
No, your body's struggling more than it used to be able to regulate your heat.
What do you think I can do to rectify that?
I think you should probably just end it.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Well, it's been a decent innings, I would say. I wouldn't go as far as good.
Honestly, I swear to God, I'm not at all afraid of death because I have achieved so much more than I had planned on.
Yeah.
Not just like achieved, but it's like I've had great sex, I've had great friendships, I have 2 perfect dogs, I've had a lovely few years with them, I've had a hilarious career. I've met everyone that I wanted to meet ever and worked with a lot of the people I wanted to work with. So my cup is overflowing and I feel very calm.
I don't have any of those things, so I don't think I can just end it.
Haven't had any good sex yet?
Still waiting. I'm working on it, what can I say? What I would say is I wouldn't go out yet. You've got to outlive the bully because that guy's got control over what it says you died of.
That's fine.
He'll put something awful.
He'll say it's something like an asphyxie wank, and that's okay.
You're going to go out like that?
I've never been concerned with my legacy.
Earlier on, we did mention the podcast, Wrong Turns.
Yes.
I hate to keep you away from the lovely cake that's just appeared, but
fine.
do you want to explain the premise of Wrong Turns?
Yes, so I decided I was sick of all this toxic positivity that is being shoved up our arse on the internet. I really can't take it anymore. I can't take how everything has to have an inspiring ending and a great silver lining and a pearl of wisdom. You know, most of the time I found that my calamity teaches me damn near nothing. And if anything, makes me not wiser, but stupider. And I think that people like me deserve representation.
Yes.
And so I decided to create a comedy disaster podcast in which people talk about the most embarrassing things that have ever happened to them or that they have caused. And we don't sell you a happy ending. We just commiserate. It's anti-inspiration, pro-commiseration. And I get loads of the funniest people around the world, including, you know, Mae Martin, Bob the Drag Queen, Catherine Ryan, Alan Carr.
Love Alan Carr.
Love Alan Carr. Jimmy Carr's coming on, Jack Whitehall. All the favourite funnies. Simon Pegg was recently on. He was absolutely hilarious. And he never does podcasts, so I was so lucky to get him.
Don't I know it?
And he's hysterical. Truly hysterical. So sorry to rub that in. But yeah, so we have loads of funny people on, just telling stories that we swore we would take to the grave, but we didn't. We told them on my podcast and gave them to the world forever.
On the way here, I was thinking, what would my anecdote be? Not that you would have someone like me on the podcast, but if I was going to go on the podcast, it was at, I think, Primavera Music Festival in maybe like 2018 or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I was at the front row with my friend watching the rapper Pusha T, who at the time I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
And it was the song Numbers on the Board, which I
Love that song.
knew almost every word. Almost. That's the
no.
key word here. So he sees me from the stage.
No.
Just like rapping along to... Also, obviously I shouldn't rap. It's a terrible idea. No one wants that. He sees me doing all of it from the stage, climbs down and puts the microphone in front of my mouth just for the lyric that I don't know. And I had to just like look at him in the eye and just like, shrug. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, mate. I'm really sorry. And that's the memory I can't revisit.
And what was his face like?
He's such a pro. He just went straight through. I think what he did was he found a kid that was like right next to me who was like 11 that did actually know all the lyrics.
Smooth.
And that kid was definitely like a safer and younger pair of hands.
It's a nightmare. I feel as though I've had sort of sleep paralysis nightmares about something like that.
Yeah. And as you say, no happy ending, no lessons learned.
No.
Like there's absolutely...
Lyrics learned, maybe.
I think I never actually learned those lyrics. So if it happens again, I've only got myself to blame.
That's fucking great. I had a wrong turn up the road from here, a very formative one, that maybe had a sort of happy ending, but not one anyone else would consider a happy ending.
Okay.
I was crossing the road and there was a bee coming down the road, and since I've seen My Girl and because I'm allergic, I've been terrified of bees and wasps, irrationally so. I really I fucking lose it in a way that is extraordinary.
When I was a kid, I was the same, but carry on.
Well, I'm 39 and I'm the same. So I see the bee that isn't actually chasing me. It just feels like it's chasing me. And I run into traffic because that seems like the safer option. And I get hit by one car into another car that's coming over on the other side of the road. So I get just flipped around like a pancake in the middle of the road. And I break my back and I can't walk again for the next year and a half.
I'd say that's less outwardly funny than mine. It's quite
not
sad.
Funny.
Yeah.
It's not funny at all, except, and it wasn't even funny, but weirdly, it was the best year of my life. And I don't know if that's just because my life before then was so shit, but I got to watch television 24 hours a day, and everyone brought me ice cream. So I just ate ice cream and watched television 24 hours a day.
So that's like
that's really the teenage dream.
It's your origin story. Because
It's
now
my
you get to
origin
be
story.
in television.
Well, exactly, but I think it's genuinely how I learned how to act and host, is because I almost by osmosis learned how to present and act, because I was soaked in television. And,
it's all thanks to a bee.
Film. It's all thanks to a bee. So I don't know why I'm so scared of them. I owe them my life.
You owe them everything, yeah.
100%. But yeah, that was my sort of big formative wrong turn. But it's also why I think I'm also quite sane in this industry, is that people are very stressed about everything in this business. They think what they're doing is very important. And I don't mean to diminish what they're doing, because actually without their TV and film, I would have lost my mind during that year. So I'm super grateful to anyone who makes art, because I think it keeps the lonely and the sad engaged and made to feel less alone. Like, I have huge respect for art, but let's calm down. We're not neurosurgeons, you know, pediatric neurosurgeons, but we behave like we are. And there's something about not being able to piss on your own for a year that makes you so grateful for the little things that it means nothing really stresses me out anymore.
Yeah, you've experienced the worst that life can throw at you. You've had to have aided urination. Well, this has been a lovely time. Shall we rock on to our fourth location?
Let's.
If you could bring 10 celebrities and you could just snap your finger and they appeared, what sort of celebs would you bring?
Well, I'd start with actual friends.
Okay.
Larry David would be
Wow,
one.
that's a hell of a name just to drop on the off.
Well, he's the only person you want anywhere with you in this
What
industry.
would
'cause
he
he's
be
also
like?
completely unaffected by the industry.
At the Elle Awards, what would he be like?
Absolutely insufferable. Infuriated. And
Yeah.
he'd leave at 9 p.m. sharp.
And you want that?
Yeah, I love that. He's so brilliantly grumpy.
Yeah.
We went to a party once in Los Angeles, and my dog was a brand new puppy. She was only like 8 weeks old, and I brought her because you can't leave them alone. I put her down to pee, and she just made a beeline for the pool. And this is very Tahani, my character from The Good Place, to name drop, but I'm going to do it again. It was Conan O'Brien's pool, and I had to jump in a full tuxedo after her
Right.
and get her because she didn't know how to swim.
And this is not in the programme, this is in real life.
This is in real life.
This is you blending with
This is
Tahani.
a Christmas party, yeah. I then crawl out of the pool, everyone's clapping because I've rescued a puppy that is my own puppy that I recklessly allowed to jump into a pool. And I get out and Larry's supposed to be my ride home and he just goes, okay, well, bye-bye. Just leaves me to get a
And you're like,
cab
oh,
home.
classic Larry as he walks off
I
and
mean,
doesn't
who
come
would
back.
want someone in a soaking tuxedo in their really fancy car?
No, it's a
But
good
still,
point.
it was very funny.
No, he has carte blanche to behave however he
He's
wants for the rest
absolutely
of his life
perfect.
now, doesn't he?
He's perfect. I never want him to change.
Oh, bless
I
him.
bring my boyfriend. I should have said him first.
Right, yeah.
He's kind of a celebrity. He's a musician who's
He
very
is.
private. His name's James Blake.
Very, very
I
good
want him
musician.
everywhere with me.
Oh.
I love Grace Campbell.
The
Grace
comedian,
Campbell, the comedian.
Grace Campbell, yeah. I once,
She's very funny.
when she was a kid, I interviewed her dad in his house and she was there. We were both very young. But we have just rocked up at our 4th location. Do you want to say where we are?
We were at my local pub when I was younger called the Washington. My flatmate Dave used to work there, so we would come over for free food and drink every day in our 20s. And it's just a brilliant part of this area and
You
a
can
brilliant
literally
part
see
of
it
London.
from your old flat over there where you
And
used
the
to live.
food is fantastic, and they've got a great quiz night, and the quiz isn't too difficult. It's not one of those wanky quizzes. It's lovely and fun. And again, it's only locals in here, and so it's such a strong. They allow dogs, obviously, because it's a great pub, but they're just very welcoming. It doesn't smell bad when you go in.
Well, I'll be the
and
judge of
it's always
that.
just felt good.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, it's very beautiful in here.
It's gorgeous.
Great
isn't it?
ceilings,
And it feels
vaulted arches.
It feels so true to Britain. And I love a booth. There's booths everywhere.
Yeah, it's the afternoon. And do you know what? There's something magical about an afternoon pub when it's empty,
Yes.
lovely low light. How often would you have been coming here when you lived in the lovely flat
Every
over there?
day.
Every day.
Every single day.
To be honest, if you live within, peeing distance of
Yeah.
a pub like this, you would come here every day.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be your living room.
Someone talented in Thailand would be able to pop a ping pong ball out of their pussy from my window to this pub.
You jest, but I think probably you're right. Yeah.
No, it's totally a true thing. It should enter the Olympic sport if breakdancing can.
At the time when you would come here, were you a sort of like wine drinker, a beer person?
No, I've actually never drunk alcohol.
Do you know what? I knew that about you, yeah. But you liked the vibe of a pub anyway.
I just love pubs. I love
Yeah.
pubs. I think they are, again, such a massive part of British culture, and I like the informality of it, and I like the fact that when you sit down, you can sit down for 5 hours if you like. I love a pub garden.
Oh.
And I feel as though they have the ambience completely correct
And
in
even
the pub.
if you don't drink, when
Yeah.
you were in America, did you miss this sort of a place?
Missed pubs terribly, yes.
Really?
You know, in America, there's a feeling of like, all right, move along. Everyone's got somewhere to go. Everyone's very busy. And
Yeah.
here, we're just not busy. And the British are so mad that we will, from 4 p.m. on a Thursday and Friday, just elect to stand outside a pub for 7 hours sometimes.
That's my
and
idea
that's our
of
night out.
heaven.
Yes.
Honestly, is standing outside a pub, preferably when it's quite cold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I
just
don't
having an
know-
amazing chat in a circle with your friends, like
Yeah.
squished up on the pavement.
It's a sort of national art form
and
that
I
we
feel
have.
as though no one's wanky here.
Yeah.
You know, like certain restaurants, people think a lot of themselves for being at the restaurant or working at the restaurant, whereas there's a very casual nature here. It feels very grounded. It feels very normal. Doesn't matter who you are. No one treats you differently. You're just here in a pub. There's people of all ages. It's also one of the only places that you actually get to see the elderly, because the elderly
Yeah.
are hidden by the window.
We've come full circle.
Yeah.
Call back to the elderly chat
Exactly.
earlier on in the day.
And some members of the elderly are out here,
Yeah.
and they're enjoying a nice pub lunch, a nice roast on a Sunday.
If I get too old to enjoy the pub, end it. For
Yeah.
me. You end it for me. Find me,
I'll
kill
kill
me.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please. Apart from the Washington, did you
Mm-hmm.
have any other sort of pubs of choice at the time?
I loved the Churchill Arms, a big time. I love the Steel Pub. They have a great garden. The Stag,
The Stag, yes.
very good. And then my favourite one was actually, outside of this one, was the Queen's Head,
Which one? There's
the
a
one
few.
in Islington.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's still there. Very famous Sunday roast now.
Yes, and I used to have a DJ night there. I used to put on indie bands, and I would DJ.
I must have gone there at that time. I was such a regular downstairs.
Yeah.
I remember there was is that the one that had the light up floor?
Yeah.
That floor was mad.
And it was right by the Tesco.
It was,
so you could
yeah.
go out and quickly grab some Haribo if you didn't take
Tesco's
drugs
still
or drink
there.
alcohol. And I loved the Hawley Arms back in the day.
Oh, of course,
Lots
yeah.
of very happy but sad memories there, but that was a really big part of my youth.
What was sad, if you don't mind me asking?
I think Amy.
Right, yeah.
She was there, she frequented there around the same time that I was hanging out there, and she was very beloved, and I think the movie about her couldn't do her any less justice if it tried.
Is that the documentary or the other one?
No, the Sam
Oh, yes, okay.
Taylor, I can't remember her name, but the writers of that film did such a tremendous disservice to her and her legacy, and they painted her as this pathetic, gentle, pointlessly destructive. She was incredibly smart, incredibly funny, incredibly courageous. She didn't walk around going, drugs are for mugs. I don't know where they got that. She might have said it once and she was 12. She wasn't this desperate character. She was a fearless nuclear power that was abused by the media and by culture. And that's what happened. She was victimized. She was not a victim. But rather than paint the paparazzi, who were largely responsible for her downfall and death, and paint the person who gave her the drugs in the first place as the real villain, they make it look like she just started taking, I don't know. Anyway, my point being that the media and the world got away with it by painting it all as though she randomly self-destructed because she was desperate for a baby or whatever the narrative was. That's not at all what happened, and we were all there. And I found that film so distressing. I struggled to stay in the cinema, and I think everyone involved should be deeply ashamed of themselves.
Well, obviously
apart from the lead
affected
actress who doesn't know and was too young to have known.
Yeah. I think it's obviously affected you in a way that's quite moving to hear. Actually, I work with loads of people who are sort of younger who all love Amy's music, and they sort of weren't around when she was around. Is there anything you'd want to say to them with regards to what she was like?
Just so smart, so ferocious, one of a kind, best lyricist of our generation or many generations, and someone who was mistreated by the world and by the industry. And we continue to do this specifically to women, hound and terrorise them, slash their tyres, humiliate them. And we as a public have a responsibility to stop reading the tabloids and stop indulging these narratives, because they supply what we demand. And so we have to be very careful about what we allow them to think we want. If we don't want that, they'll start writing something else.
We spoke about the Princess Diana thing before, but it's almost similar with regards to...
It's cyclical. It's Meghan Markle, it's Jane Fonda. It happened to me, for a long time when I was in the UK. That was part of why I moved to the United States, was to get away from British tabloid culture. And, they were photographing me when I gained weight. They were photographing my arse literally outside that front door over there when I'd be bending over to get my keys at 6 a.m. and humiliated me. And then I'd have to walk opposite the road to the Tesco, and my arse and my face are all over the tabloids being she's fat and alone and this, that and the other. It was so disorientating. So we as a culture, we as a public have to do better by women in the media. Yeah. We can't just terrorise and then on to the next, terrorise on to the next.
And then also, once they're gone, be like, what a shame. That's the worst part.
The movie about Amy should have had the villain be the media.
Well, that was quite a sort of an intense and moving conversation. Thank you for sort of sharing it with me. And thank you also for taking me around Primrose Hill. I've had a genuinely lovely time.
Oh, my too. My too.
My too.
Me too.
I wouldn't have assumed that someone who suggested that I end it all would have also been such wonderful company. But you have been.
I also threatened to kill you at one point.
And
Don't forget about that.
Yeah. No, you didn't threaten. You sort of promised.
No, I offered.
Offered.
I
okay.
offered. I extended an offer for murder.
Well, I gratefully accept your offer.
Yeah.
And
I think murder-suicide, we should do it, or double homicide.
Yeah, you first.
Let's go. Yeah. No, it's lovely. It's a lovely area. And like I said, it feels like a village, and it's very hard to find a village in any big city these days. And I hope I'll move back here one day when I'm old. But until then, I will keep dividing my time between London and Los Angeles. But I hope to make my way back home to this area.
Well, I'm sure the people of Primrose Hill...
This is a great place to be a little old lady. You'll find me here
They'd love
in
to
the
have
pub.
you.
I'm also going to start drinking and doing drugs in my 70s, so I'll be absolutely hammered in the corner.
Why not?
That's the time to do it. Why waste your youth?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm going to get crunk when
Wait
I'm old.
until you've got nothing to live for anymore in terms of like future dreams, and then just go nuts.
100%.
Get the ketamine in.
Yeah, I'm going to turn into Iggy Pop.
Well, Jameela, Jamil, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was the Primrose Hill edition of Love Thy Neighbourhood with the wonderful Jameela Jamil. A lovely day spent in her company. It was much hotter than I expected, and I was sweating profusely throughout a lot of it. I hope she wasn't freaked out or offended by that. Her podcast, Wrong Turns, sounds like required listening. IMHO. People talking about the most embarrassing moments. Always very, very entertaining. If you want to hear more stuff along these lines, do subscribe to Love Thy Neighbourhood. It's a podcast brought to you by the fun people at Ralph and also Big Signal. Always a pleasure being in your company. I hope you feel the same. And until next time, love thyself and love thy neighbourhood. Cheerio.